All right, welcome back to another episode of the $1 Million Fast Track, where Barron's Top 100 producer, Erin Botsford, helps advisors answer their most pressing questions. Now, today's short episode covers financial plans. It's something we talk about a lot. So you may have decided to begin charging financial plans for all new clients and some existing, but you're wondering, should I go back to my existing clients and start charging them financial planning fees as well? So Erin, what's your take on charging plans and going back to your current book of clients?
Right. Well, there's a couple of schools of thought on that. And one is yes, you're going to charge financial planning fees on a going forward basis for all new clients that come into your practice. So maybe that's the decision that's been made. So now you're asking yourselves the question, what about all those existing clients that are on the books? Should I go back, change the rules on them, and start charging financial planning fees on them? Well, a mentor of mine years ago said, whenever you change the rules on people, you have to be willing to accept the consequences of that. So let's say you go wholesale on that and say, now every existing client that's on the books is going to start paying me a financial planning fee. The problem with that is that you really do risk some of them saying, wait a minute, I've been with you for 20 years. I haven't paid this up to this point. Why are you charging me now? And that could get a little uncomfortable. But that's a business decision that you have to make. In my case, I chose not to charge my existing clients for financial planning. But what I did do when I learned these things called disturbing tracks, when I really learned the art of doing comprehensive financial planning, I actually gave my clients a choice. So I went back to them, let's say your A, B, C, and D clients, I went back to them. One, I really, as I learned more about what I was doing and I learned more about focusing on the risk side of the balance sheet, I wanted to make sure that I had explored all pieces of my existing client's situation so that I hadn't left them vulnerable. So the way I went back to existing clients was to tell them this: I had new capabilities. And that's what we teach our advisors, to go back to your existing clients and say, I have new capabilities, which means you have a new set of skills, at this point in your career. And you tell them, I want to have a more in-depth conversation with you. We call it our visions and values conversation. I want to go through an exercise with you, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I know you've been with me for 20 years, but I really feel like we haven't gone as deeply into your family structure as we could. So with your permission, I kind of want to start over. Let's call it a reboot. And in this case, I'm going to ask you some questions about your mom and your dad and your brothers and sisters, your nieces, your nephews, and of course, your children and your grandchildren, because I want to really dig deep into what we refer to now as the risk side of the balance sheet. So you can have these conversations or you can tell them this is what you're now doing with all your new clients. And you can say, hey, we're having these very in-depth conversations with new clients. If you would like to have that in-depth conversation and really talk through the risk side of your balance sheet, you can then say, I can do it for you for free in honoring our relationship. You can say, I'm going to do it for you at half the price that I would otherwise charge a brand new client. Or they can elect not to have those in-depth conversations with you. So the number one thing you do want to do is, if you've decided to adopt comprehensive financial planning in your business, you want all of your existing clients, especially your A plus, and your B clients, to know that on a going forward basis, everybody new coming in will now charge a financial planning fee that is separate and apart from a product sale or AUM fees. Why is that so important? Because I'm assuming that every advisor relies upon your existing clients for referrals. So let's take for a moment that your client Joe refers Bob, and Bob comes in and you describe now your new process where you charge a financial planning fee. Bob's thrilled with it. Whatever the amount is, he agrees to pay you for your wisdom and advice. But Bob reports back to Joe, and Joe says, how did the meeting go with the advisor? Bob says, oh my gosh, it went great. And I can't believe he's only going to charge me X for my financial planning. Well, that's going to leave this big gaping hole, because now Joe's going to say, what do you mean he's going to charge you X? He did all of this work for me for free. Okay. You never want that conversation to happen. And so the way to prevent it is to tell Joe, your existing clients, hey, Joe, we've done all this work for you for all these years and have not charged you, but on a going forward basis, we're going to be charging all of our new clients. And guess what? Joe's going to be thrilled for you. Joe's going to be especially thrilled that you did all this work and you didn't charge him. And he's going to be so happy that now you're charging for your wisdom and advice.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the things I think about in situations like that are just the level of intimacy you're able to create with your clients by getting in deep with them and figuring out some of the visions and values is huge. And I feel like it's such a reward for those clients to have those conversations with you, because then they feel so much more seen and heard, and they can trust you more to protect them because we're doing things, we've had conversations, we've never done this before, right? So I feel like from that space, don't you feel like you would generate such much higher caliber referrals? You've had that conversation with someone who is just so rewarded that you took the time to call them back and put together a meeting and uncover these things to keep them safe, that they need to introduce you to all these wonderful people in their lives who need to be having conversations like this one.
Totally.
I love that. And I love that we can always take something and go, hey, I want to charge financial plans. Oh, and I can also get really great referrals.
Well, and the other thing too is I want to say that I would say about half the advisors that we work with, they will go back and they just make the offer. Would you like to have this in-depth conversation to uncover potential vulnerabilities? By the way, you want to have that conversation whether you get paid for it or not. That is your job, your duty as a fiduciary. We want to make sure we haven't, all these people that have trusted us with their money, that we haven't accidentally left them exposed. They don't have enough umbrella liability insurance. Oh my gosh, what happens if an accident happens? They have out-of-state property titled in their personal name. You want to make sure you do that. And what I encourage my advisor students to do is go ahead and I call it practice on the people that already love you, and give them that extra value add and see what questions they have. When you point out, we call them disturbing tracks, you point out that there's vulnerabilities and they say, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? How are we going to fix that? Well, again, you can bring in these outside resources and help fix these people that already love you. There's absolutely no risk to helping them even more. The only question is, do you charge them for that? And I would say half the advisors go in, they say, I'm willing to do this. And, I'll offer you a deal. You'll only pay half of what I'm going to be charging a brand new client. Or you just say, you know what, you've been with me for so long. I want to make sure we have these conversations and I'm not going to charge you anything for it. It's totally a business decision on your part. And either way works.
Yep, I love it. And so I think about one of the things we talked about with our new students is, hey, in the beginning, when you learn some of these disturbing tracks, these questions to uncover vulnerabilities, look at your own life, your own portfolio, some of the vulnerabilities you're facing. And so it'll give you a better understanding of what this what could look like if it happens to you. And you can help one of your clients figure out, well, this is what it could look like if it happened to you as well, right? And I love that you say, bring it to the clients that already love you. Yeah. Because it creates such a safe space for especially advisors just learning this stuff to practice, to try it, to uncover things and sort of go through that journey with the client as you're both learning.
Correct. And as you said, Blake, the referrals that come out of having these deep discussions are unbelievable, because you can be quite sure if you haven't had that conversation with them, nobody's had that conversation with them. And they want everybody in their family, all their friends, all their business associates to have those kind of conversations so that any vulnerabilities that might exist on that risk side of the balance sheet are wrapped up tight, and they'll refer all kinds of business to you.
I love it. And that's so true. Birds of a feather flock together. Once you get one good high net worth and you show them what you're capable of and how you're having different conversations than anybody else they know, you will be brought into that circle, and it will be a very great decision for everyone. So if the things that you've learned on today's episode really resonate with you and you think you want to lean into this concept and you want to start building enterprise value in your business, get out of the room, build a team, take your business to the next level, we'd very much love to have you as part of our team. But one thing you can do right now is go to erinbotsford.com and download Erin's book, 7-Figure Firm, How to Build a Financial Services Business That Grows Itself. It's full of new information that will really help you kind of get your hands around all the moving parts of taking your business to that next level. And that's something we would love to see you do and would love to help you every step of the way.